Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever had that feeling, that really unsettling, almost uncomfortable realization? The one that sort of sinks in the longer you live, the more you watch the world?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
It's that moment you grasp that success or power or just like high status, and it doesn't always line up with actual intelligence or even basic competence sometimes.
Right. It often feels completely disconnected.
Yeah. And our source material for this deep dive, it nails it. It calls it a revelation that hits harder with age. This dawning idea that, well, the world can sometimes seem like it's run by people who don't have the faintest idea what they're doing.
It's a harsh thought, but relatable.
It is.
Yep.
And it's such a contrast, isn't it? Because we're basically, conditioned from day one, socially, professionally, everywhere.
To equate success with smarts.
Exactly. To think the CEO, the politician, the big thought leader,
Yeah.
they must be brilliant, by definition almost.
Right. That's the default assumption.
But then you look closer. Right. You start to see behind the curtain a bit. And this gap, this dissonance, our source calls it a Roman Empire thought.
I like that. The thing that just keeps popping into your head.
Yeah, that nagging feeling. The huge space between what we're told success means and the reality we sometimes see, which can be, frankly, baffling.
Totally baffling.
I mean, I've met enough people, Ivy League grads, senior partners, high earners, and I can confidently say brilliance is not a must-have for high status.
Not at all.
In fact, the stuff we're looking at today even suggests, and this is provocative, that some of the richest, most famous people, well, they could lose a chess match to a houseplant.
Oof. That's quite the image.
It is, but it makes the point, right?
Yeah.
Perception versus reality.
Absolutely. And what's really fascinating here is that this feeling you're describing, this observation about, competence gaps way up high.
Yeah.
It's not just you. It's not just anecdotal.
Right.
This is actually a well-documented thing.
Yeah.
Psychologically, economically, it shapes how things work, often in ways we don't fully see. Right. So today we're going to pull that curtain back even more. We're talking about a concept that helps explain this paradox. The Dunning-Kruger Economy.
The Dunning-Kruger Economy. Okay.
Yeah, think of it like a system where this particular psychological bias isn't just a glitch, it's like a feature. It actively shapes who gets ahead, who gets influence.
Wow.
So our mission in this deep dive is to pull out the key insights from our sources that really shine a light on this sometimes uncomfortable truth to help you understand how sheer confidence, how it often beats competence in really surprising, powerful ways.
It's about seeing the system, not just the shiny surface.
Exactly. Beyond the PR.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting then.
Yeah.
Because the heart of this Dunning-Kruger economy is that bias, right? The Dunning-Kruger effect itself.
That's the one.
Now, a lot of you listening might know this one already. It's talked about quite a bit.
Pops up a lot.
But just in case, the basic idea is, well, it's simple, but kind of mind-bending. Essentially, people with the least knowledge or skill in something, they tend to massively overestimate how good they are. Loads of confidence.
While the actual experts.
Right. The ones who really know their stuff, they often underestimate themselves. They're more aware of how much they don't know.
It feels completely backwards, doesn't it?
Totally counterintuitive. The less you know, the more you think you know. And the really critical takeaway from the research we looked at, that overconfidence, it pays. It's not just in your head. It actually gets results in the real world. It pushes people forward when maybe raw talent or deep knowledge doesn't.
Yeah, and this isn't just, theory from a textbook or something you hear in a TED Talk and forget about.
Right, not just academic.
No, this plays out every single day in really concrete ways, right under our noses, often without us even noticing its effect.
Like where? Give us some examples.
Okay, think about corporate boardrooms. Big decisions, high stakes. You've got the quiet expert, maybe, with all the data, understands the risks. But they get drowned out by the really bold executive, the one with the gut feeling presented with absolute certainty.
Even if the gut's wrong.
Even if the gut's based on almost nothing, but the confidence carries it. Or political campaigns, right?
Oh, yeah.
Bluster, conviction, simple slogans shouted confidently, often beats nuanced policy talk. Every time.
Yeah, but true.
Startup pitches, too. The dazzling presentation, maybe a shaky idea, but just boundless self-belief that often gets the millions in funding.
Over the careful, maybe less flashy, but solid plan.
Exactly. And job interviews, we've all seen it. The person who sounds the most capable, who just radiates confidence, they often get the job.
Even if their resume isn't actually the strongest.
Precisely. The source calls them the self-assured underachiever. They walk away with the prize, the job, the money, the followers, not because they're better, but because they sound like they are.
They project competence even if it's thin.
They master the projection. So I'd ask you listening, just reflect for a second. Can you think of times, maybe at work or in social circles, where you've seen this exact thing happen?
I bet most people can pinpoint something. It's definitely common. More common and more impactful than we often realize.
Okay, so let's shift gears slightly. From the general psychology, the Dunning-Kruger thing, to a more specific context, the American capitalist system.
Right.
Because the research we looked at suggests this system is, well, particularly vulnerable to this dynamic, maybe even uniquely so.
Interesting. Why is that?
Well, the sources argue it's about what we value as a society. It says pretty bluntly. We value charisma, boldness, and speed over deliberation, integrity, and intelligence.
Ouch. That's a stark hierarchy.
It is. And think about it. It's not subtle. It's like baked into how we pick leaders, how we reward people. It's a system that favors certain actions, certain presentations, often over deeper thought or careful work.
So we reward the doing, the launching, the headlines. Exactly. Not necessarily the deep thinking, the careful planning, the refining. It's like an active choice embedded in the economy. Who gets elevated?
And, often those people who are celebrated for the doing, the ones with the charisma and boldness, they aren't starting from zero.
Ah, right. The myth of the self-made person.
Exactly. Our source really pushes back on that. It highlights how much help is often involved. And by help, we mean serious capital connections.
Okay, like who?
Well, the material uses Elon Musk as a prime example, describes him quite pointedly as the poster child of pseudogenius.
Wow, okay, pseudogenius.
Yeah. He's seen globally as this visionary, right? This amazing intellect solving huge problems.
That's the narrative.
Yet the source points out a key fact often glossed over. He's never invented a single product himself.
Really?
And his early start, the foundation, boosted by millions from an apartheid-era emerald mine his father owned. Plus, he's always surrounded himself with actual engineers and experts who do the technical heavy lifting.
But the image persists.
Massively. He's still widely seen as a once-in-a-generation intellect, despite those, factual points.
Okay, so that's one big example. Is it just him?
No, not at all. This pattern, success, getting a huge boost from existing money or connections, it's everywhere in different fields. Think Kylie Jenner.
Okay, the makeup mogul.
Right. Famously called self-made by Forbes. But the source clarifies, her fortune came overwhelmingly from leveraging a famous last name and generational wealth. She had a massive platform before she sold a single lipstick.
Right, the Kardashian effect.
Exactly, or Jeff Bezos. Amazon changed the world, no doubt. But he didn't start it in a garage with nothing. He launched with a six-figure investment from his parents.
Which is huge starting capital.
Huge. Gave him runway most startups don't have. Even Taylor Swift, obviously incredibly talented.
Undeniably.
But her early music career was seeded by her father's investment in a record label. That's a massive head start. Industry access most artists only dream of.
Gotcha. So the point isn't no talent.
Exactly. The source is careful there. It's not saying zero talent or no hard work. But it's arguing their success is not solely or even primarily the result of intelligence. It's the potent mix. Capital, connections, and a system rigged to reward starting on third base.
That phrase really sticks, starting on third base.
It does, and it makes you question, doesn't it? When we celebrate success, are we seeing the whole picture? Or just the myth? Are we overlooking the systemic advantages?
Yeah, it forces you to look way deeper than the usual story.
Definitely. Beyond the curated image.
Okay, so digging deeper into this maybe uncomfortable territory.
Yeah.
Our sources bring up this really counterintuitive idea, almost cynical.
Which is?
That there is unfortunately a dark efficiency in stupidity.
A dark efficiency? Wow, okay, unpack that.
Right. It sounds awful, but it suggests that sometimes not thinking too deeply, not being burdened by ethics, or just having that boundless, maybe baseless confidence, it can actually be a fast track.
Yeah.
To material success, anyway. Well, the material contrasts behaviors. It says, smart people are often paralyzed by analysis. They're always adjusting, refining, trying to get it perfect.
Yeah, the perfectionism trap. Or just being thorough.
Right. They worry about consequences, they value integrity, and that carefulness, while good, can slow them down, make them seem hesitant in a fast world.
Oh, versus,
as the research shows, the less intelligent actors simply go. They don't get bogged down. They Leap in, pitch half-baked ideas, cut ethical corners, and fake it till they make it.
Just pure audacity, unburdened.
Exactly. Less worried about fairness or accuracy or failure. They move fast, grab opportunities, project total belief in shaky plans, and the outcome.
Often.
They make it. And they often do make it, at least financially.
It's powerful.
And kind of depressing. Right? It challenges everything we think about merit and reward.
It really does. Audacity over aptitude.
Yeah.
And this leads to a pretty brutal assessment from the sources about ethics in this whole picture. It basically says a business-savvy sociopath can make millions while their smarter, more empathetic counterpart struggles to break even.
Why? What's the mechanism there?
Because the empathetic one, the person with integrity, they're burdened by questions like, is this fair? Or will this hurt someone?
Questions we want people to ask.
Exactly. They're crucial for humanity, for a decent society. But the source's blunt take, just looking at the bottom line, is that these are important questions for humanity, but liabilities in business.
Wow. So having a conscience is a business liability.
In certain purely transactional frameworks, the analysis suggests, yes, it can hinder quick financial gain compared to someone who doesn't care about those things. It's a tough pill to swallow, the potential cost of competence when it's tied to conscience.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what's worse, maybe, is that the system doesn't just, tolerate this imbalance.
It reinforces it.
Yeah, actively reinforces it, makes it part of the machinery, not just a bug. Think about this. The public subsidizes low-wage workers at billion-dollar companies.
Right, through welfare, food stamps, taxpayers pick up the slack.
Exactly. It's basically a public subsidy for private profit, for companies choosing not to pay a living wage. And exploitation is institutionalized. It's not just bad apples. It's built into some business models, normalized. And the language gets sanitized, right? Greed is sanitized with phrases like disruption and innovation.
Yes, using positive words to cover questionable actions.
Totally.
Yeah.
These words should mean progress, solving problems, but they get hijacked to justify pure self-interest, maybe, or disregard for consequences and actual competence in all this.
Where does it end up?
Buried. It's buried beneath PR spin, personal branding, and marketing gloss. The ability to do something well gets lost under the ability to look like you do something well.
Perception trumps reality again, amplified by the system.
Exactly.
And this whole dynamic, this image over substance thing, it plays out on smaller scales too, ones we probably all see. Nepotism and mediocrity rise together.
Oh yeah. The family firm, the legacy admission.
Right. Family-run firms, inherited wealth, and elite school legacies perpetuate a cycle where intelligence is optional, but access is everything. If you're connected, if you have that inherited advantage, your actual ability often matters less than your network.
Merit takes a backseat.
Completely. And this lack of real competence at the top, this systemic rewarding of confidence and connections over ability, it has huge consequences for society.
Like what?
Well, when big problems hit, climate disasters, financial crashes, public health crises, we, the public, often seem genuinely shocked that the people in charge seem fundamentally incapable of handling it.
Yeah, you watch the news and just think, how are they in charge?
Exactly. They seem out of their depth, unable to respond with clarity or humility or just basic effectiveness. We're shocked by the incompetence.
But we shouldn't be.
That's the source's sobering conclusion. We shouldn't be shocked. The system itself, by constantly valuing charisma, connections, audacity over competence, by sometimes penalizing ethical thought, it set the stage for this exact outcome.
So our shock is just naive.
It's a symptom of maybe not wanting to see how the game is actually played, who really gets power, and why.
Wow. Okay, so after this whole deep dive, this journey through the Dunning-Kruger economy, what does it all mean for you, for the listener?
Yeah, what's the big takeaway?
I think it's this, crystal clear. Success, especially that big, shiny public success.
Yeah.
It is not a reliable measure of intelligence, full stop.
Right, don't automatically equate them.
And if you haven't made it yet, if you're out there working hard, being confident, having integrity, but maybe struggling, take heart. Seriously, it's not because you're stupid. It's because, as our source says so bluntly, you're just playing a rigged game.
Rigged how?
A game that often mistakes noise for wisdom and audacity for genius. The loud one, the confident one, the ethically flexible one, they often win the financial race, maybe. Not the quiet, thoughtful, competent one.
Understanding that can be kind of freeing, actually.
I think so too. It takes the pressure off, maybe.
And it leaves us with a really important question, doesn't it? Something for you, the listener, to take away and think about.
Yeah, what's the final thought?
The source puts it like this: a call for critical assessment. The next time you feel intimidated by someone's fancy title or their huge bank account or, just that blue check mark online, pause. Just take a beat. Instead of automatically assuming they're brilliant, instead of feeling smaller, consciously ask yourself this question.
Okay.
Is this person actually competent? Or are they just confident?
Competent or confident?
Because, as we've really explored today, and as the sources show so clearly, increasingly, those are two very different things.
That's a powerful distinction to keep in mind.
We really encourage you, listening out there, to evaluate success critically. Look past the shine. Trust your own judgment.
What a journey today, really peeling back the layers on success, competence, confidence. This whole Dunning-Kruger economy idea, it's a lot to chew on.
It really is. It changes how you see things, doesn't it? But it's about empowering yourself, with critical thinking, recognizing that the surface can be misleading.
Understanding those deeper forces at play.
Exactly. The stuff happening beneath our immediate view.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. And thank you for listening and engaging with these, frankly, quite challenging ideas. Keep observing, keep questioning those dynamics of competence versus confidence in your own life and out in the world.
Definitely keep questioning.
And hey, if you found this deep dive insightful, if I gave you something to think about, please do take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us keep bringing you more explorations like this one.
Yeah, we'd appreciate the support.
Thanks again for tuning in.